welcome to this episode of Playmakers. UFC lightweight Dan Hooker is back in the octagon this weekend at UFC 267 when he faces Islam Makhachev in Abu Dhabi. He has landed and he is with us now to tell us all about it. Kia ora, kia koe, Dan.
Kia ora. I've landed here last night. Met my team over here, so obviously came over with Frankie, met Doug and Hemi, Doug Viney and Hemi Ahio over here. So it's cool to run into some friendly faces. Got in a pad work session and yeah, feeling good. Jumped in the sauna for a little bit and yeah, had about half an hour's sleep and I'm good as new.
There's a bit of traveling going on. You were in Las Vegas. You've come over to Dubai now. Talk about that connection. You mentioned Doug and Hemi, and of course Frankie's there with you as well. How good is it to be getting ready for this huge fight with familiar faces?
Oh, it's been cool. It was like really cool because yeah, obviously been away from everyone at home for the last 4 weeks. So to bump over here and to run into some true Kiwis, Hemi and Hemi. They don't get more Kiwi than Dougie and Hemi. So it's yeah, it's what I need. Like a last minute injection of just keeping it real. You know what I mean? Like Doug's like the perfect mix for this fight. Just to chuck it in. And I'm really just looking forward to getting out there and just putting on the perfect performance.
How's life been abroad for the last 4 weeks? It's not like you haven't done it before, but Frankie mentioned that you've been, training in different locations with different people, seeing and experiencing a lot of new and different things. How has the preparation been?
No, it's been really good. It's been above and beyond anything I initially expected when I accepted the fight. I just obviously accepted it without thinking about any of it. But no, it's been incredible working with Frankie every day and having him run my trainings and just getting just absolutely mauled every night. Just getting like Shark Tank. We're doing Shark Tank wrestling every night. Just having the boys throw me around the room. So it's nothing new when I get out there on fight night, and I just feel like supremely conditioned. I feel like all the preparation I need to do for this fight is well and truly taken care of.
Talking about this fight, when you were coming up against Nasrat, it was different. It was an unranked fighter, and it was an opportunity for you to get back in the octagon and stay busy, and not to mention to keep making that money in the UFC. This fight's a little different. It's a huge card. Well, the last one was huge as well, but against a fifth-ranked fighter in the lightweight division, are the stakes a little bit different this time around?
I would say externally, I would say from everyone else's perspective, yeah, like people were saying that the last fight, from everyone else's expecting perspective, the last fight was like a massive risk, obviously because he was unranked and a little less known opponent, and then they look at this fight and they say, oh well, whatever happens happens. Obviously, he's this and he's got all this hype, like. That's the external perspective on these two fights, but internally, it's the same. It's the same for me. I'm not taking this fight lightly. I'm not taking this fight with any excuses. I'm not taking this fight with lower expectations. I'm coming out there to prove I'm the best fighter in the world. That's really all there is to it. Yeah, I have the same expectations to win as I did the last fight. Like externally, it doesn't. It's completely irrelevant to me. Internally, I hold myself to an incredibly high expectation, and I'm looking to fulfill it.
Talk about taking on this fight. You were over in Las Vegas to, obviously have your fight with Nasrat, and then this opportunity fell in your lap. How did that all come about?
Yeah, like they mentioned like straight after my fight, I was like out back, and they mentioned it to me. They said, "Oh, Dos Anjos was out, and Islam Makhachev is looking for a fight, and I kind of took it like a shame. I was like, that's all I thought in my head. I was just like, oh, shame. Like, because I caught, obviously, after his last win over the Brazilian guy, like, I asked to fight him. I was like, you want to fight? Like, let's go. And then he obviously didn't fight me and took the fight against Dos Anjos. So when he kind of fell out injured, I was a bit like, oh, shame. Oh, you want to fight me now? Like, oh, shame. Nah, you can wait. Like, I was just kind of like rubbing it in or whatever. But then I went to, like, we went and obviously celebrated the wins. Went to like the game with 70,000 people at Allegiant Stadium. Went out. Volk had like a dinner for his birthday. We went out there, so I went missing for about 3 days from the UFC. And they got in touch with me. They finally caught me Thursday. Just like, Dad, we've tried everything. We need we need you. And I was just like, oh yeah, sweet. Like, hey, where have you been? You're alive? And I said, oh, barely, mate. It's been a couple rough nights on the beers, but no, we're good to go. We're good to go. So it was just, yeah, that's kind of how it all came together. It was about a one sentence conversation. He's just like, so one you that he was like, shit. They said, come on, like, Dan, I need pretty much like I need a favor. And so I just said, yeah, sweet. Like, if that's, I'm UFC's been good to me. They've helped me achieve some pretty incredible things. So if I can obviously like repay that favor by just fighting someone, that's a pretty pretty easy decision for me.
Now, what did that mean for your trip home? I know last time we spoke about how you had a voucher to come home and everything was set, but obviously this decision means you forfeited that. So when, I know you're not thinking past the fight, but when it is time to pack up and come home, what's the situation?
Yeah, the situation is I don't have obviously like entering all the lotteries I can enter. No luck thus far, but part of the deal with this fight is that the UFC will fly my family out after the fight. So once I get back I'll fly back to Las Vegas after this fight. My wife and daughter over there in Vegas. And so once they're over here, I'm good. You know what I mean? Once I have my wife here, I'm a happy man. I'm good, and I'll return to New Zealand once they let me back in. It's not like I'm not returning to New Zealand by choice. I would love to get back and see my family and see all my fighters and things like that. But it's just yeah, the buggers don't let me back in, so I'm stuck over here. So I'm making the most of it. Obviously, Brad Riddell comes over here and fights. Kaikara France. They all fight before the end of the year, so that I'm focusing on the positives, which is I get to help those guys out. I get to do whatever I can to help them out and help them perform at their best in their fights.
On that note, well, first of all, congratulations. I'm so happy to know that your family will be over there. I'm guessing it might be a Christmas over there with the way things are at the moment, but that's awesome to know that you'll have your family with you. On the note of Kai and Brad, obviously two great fights for them. In terms of their opponents and their upcoming fights, obviously you're supporting them, but what are your predictions for those fights and knowing that, those are great fights for two more City Kickboxing boys?
Oh man, those fights are pretty incredible. I think, well, Brad's onto a co-main event, right? So this is like a huge step up. But for a co-main event, like this is just the way. Like it's another step in the right direction. Like he's fought on the main card, he's fought on a pay-per-view. Then you fight maybe one or two co-mains, and then he'll get a main event spot, and then from there, like anything can happen. You know what I mean? So it's just another step in the right direction for him. Couldn't be happier for him. Kai as well. He looks like the winner of this fight gets a title shot. This whole sport comes down to risk versus reward. So um, they're obviously coming over here to Las Vegas without a voucher to return home, but obviously it's risk versus reward. They've got some pretty massive things in the future once they get their hand raised in these fights.
On the note of Brad, he has also mentioned wanting to fight Islam Makhachev in the past. What is it about this guy that why you and Brad both want to maybe have a piece of him?
Um, it's like the competitor. Like we're like pretty similar in that aspect that we want to fight the best guy. We don't want to fight people that we expect to beat. We want to fight guys that people say we can't beat. We want to fight guys. Um, want to fight the best fighters out there. So that's all it is to it. Like he's got a lot of attention around him, and so we want to fight the best guys, and people consider him one of the best guys. So it's yeah, we just want to be the first one to get our hands on him.
In a successful way. Um, Looking ahead, then you're only a few days out from the fight. What does the week ahead look like for you now? For those who might not know what's involved between now and fight night.
Yeah, cruising. So I got in last night. Got a training session in. Wake up this morning. Today's obviously our media day. We're just starting off. We're getting Australia and New Zealand done first. They obviously take priority. Then I got a long day of photo shoots and interviews, and then another training session in tonight, and then tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow I got some kind of press conference or something like that, and do another training session, and then weigh in Friday, fight Saturday. So it's all downhill from here, pretty much.
That's right. Well, look, Dan, thank you so much for joining us, and all the very best as always. And again, so happy to hear that your family will be joining you soon.
Pleasure. Enjoy the show. Thank you.
Frank Hickman, thank you so much for joining us on Sky Sports Playmakers. It's a privilege to have you on. I have been waiting a little while to have a conversation with you, so this is very cool. Tell our viewers who you are and what you do for the City Kickboxing team.
Thank you for having me. First off, ma'am, my name's Frank Hickman. I'm from the U.S., but I traveled to New Zealand to City Kickboxing to help the boys with a bit of wrestling and a bit of striking as well. So that's really my main goal, or my main purpose, is to go over for the camps, mix it up with the boys a bit, give them a couple different looks, and just really ride this crazy journey that we're all on. You know what I mean? So it's been a blessing, that's for sure, and I'm very, very fortunate to be able to be surrounded by great individuals, a great coaching staff, great gym, great athletes. So things are going well, as you could say. So thank you, man.
How did that relationship come about? There's, a few people internationally that come into City Kickboxing here in little old New Zealand, and you're one of them. So how did it turn out that you became such a key component for the gym here in New Zealand?
It actually, before I moved to Thailand in 2017, my brother was out there in Thailand, and my brother had met Brad Riddell. He had met Dan Hooker. He had met Kai Car France, the kid. He met Alex Volkanovski. He had known of Izzy. He had met Eugene before. So I think the relationship kind of started when they all kind of knew each other, and they had trained before in Thailand and stuff like that. And from there, the relationship just kind of stuck. And then when I moved to Thailand in 2017, I was fortunate enough to be able to link up with Brad, and that's when I kind of first started helping Alex and stuff like that. And then, it kind of snowballed from there. I was able to finally meet Israel and meet Eugene and meet Andre Paulette, who is their main wrestling coach, the Romanian at City Kickboxing. I was able to link up with those guys, and I guess kind of the rest is history. We all met in Adelaide, and then a couple of the boys fought in Adelaide, and then from there it kind of took off. I was fortunate that some of them would come over to Thailand for about 2 weeks or so. Brad, Alex, Kai had come before, and then before the Gastelum fight, Eugene had asked me if I could come over and help with the camp from there, and then we had a great 4 weeks, and then fight week, and then from there we just kept the ball rolling, and then I was back, for really every camp after that, and now that I'm a bit stateside, I guess that you could call me I'm their U.S. representative over here, as they call me. So, it's unfortunate of the circumstances at hand in the world to where they can't come and go as they please, which they should be able to do. So, if they're here and they really can't get over, and some of the boys are here, then they kind of asked me to kind of pick the ball up and just kind of keep things going with the wrestling aspect and making sure the training and all that. So, and to me, that's easy. That's part of it. I'm very lucky that they asked me to do that. So, of course, you jump at the opportunity, and whatever's best for the boys is best for me. So.
They have mentioned that. I've spoken to Kai, Brad, and Dan in the past, who talk about when, now that they come from New Zealand to America with the world looking very differently, that you are a piece of home for them when they do get to the US. What is your relationship like with Eugene? I'm guessing there's a lot of communication there in terms of, when the boys leave here and arrive with you. So how does that communication work in terms of game plans, especially for Dan Hooker ahead of UFC 267?
We bump heads quite a bit. No, I'm just kidding. Eugene and I we got a very good relationship. At the end of the day, he's, one of my mentors in this game, somebody that I really, look up to. And they have a lot of people on that staff who are the same way that I look up to in this game because they've been in it for so long. So, really whatever they say, I don't really question it. I just take it and go with it. They have been around the sport so much longer than me. They understand the ins and outs, the finer details of things. I'm still learning quite a lot, but so really whatever they say, whether it's Eugene, Andre, Dougie, Twist, Lightning Mike, Joe Lopez, I listen. And then if they need me to adjust it or tweak it, however, I feel fit, or if something we agree on, that's fine. But it's easy, when Dan made this decision, I think he was supposed to leave on a Saturday. It was a Thursday morning. I picked him up that morning to go watch sparring at Syndicate, which is a gym I coach at, wrestling at in Vegas. He said, yeah, I'll come watch sparring. I picked him up, and then he had like his training gear with him. And I said, what's that for? And he goes, well, we're going to go to Abu Dhabi. I took the fight. So I said, all right, I guess that's great news. That gives us something to do for the next 3-4 weeks. So, and we jumped right into it. And made the group chat like we always do for every event. There's always a group chat with all the boys in it, and we figure out what's best, what we need to work on, focus on, and again, we just go from there. And I just keep everybody in the loop. Communication is important, and I think we all do a very, very good job of doing that.
As his coach over there on the ground with him, what are you focusing on? Obviously, wrestling is a big component for this fight against Islam, for sure. But what are the things that you're working on with Dan, especially considering it's been such a tight turnaround since his last fight with Nasrat?
Well, wrestling is an important aspect of it, but it's just one of the aspects of fighting. When you get to the level that Dan's at, there's somebody who's been in the game for that long and who's seen so many different body types and styles, and who's fought in so many different occasions. It's not really what you can show him any different. It's just fine-tuning some positions, maybe cleaning up some stuff, and just staying sharp in the areas where he needs to stay sharp, and aware in the areas where he needs to be aware of. Islam is a great fighter. You cannot take anything away from him. He's a dangerous fighter. He's very good at what he does. But with that being said, Dan's very good at what he does. So when you have two guys who are elite in their own martial art in a way, it makes for an interesting fight. So you try not to focus on really what he can do so much, but focus on what our strong points are. Um, and again, I'm just a small piece of it. We got in last night, Doug Viney and Hemi the Heat. Hemi had just won the WBC belt over here in boxing, and they were able to come over. They got in yesterday, and Coach Doug Viney picked up where we left off, had him on the pads and stuff like that. And then of course, we'll do a bit of the wrestling, but these past 3 weeks, we was trying to keep him healthy, just making sure he's fit, ready to go, and just working on some key things. And again, he's fought many times, so just keeping the same energy, keeping it light, keeping it laughing like we do. And Saturday night, Sunday New Zealand time, put on a show for everyone.
How would you describe Dan as an athlete to coach? And perhaps what are the things that you see in Dan that makes him, or, allows him to stand out, from the rest?
First off, I think Dan he enjoys a proper scrap. Like, he enjoys a 1 out. He really does enjoy that. He enjoys it to begin with, and then when you get paid to do it, I think he enjoys it even more. But he's long and rangy, and his natural abilities in a lot of positions in a lot of areas are very impressive. And if you watch his fights, they're never boring, ever. Usually, I mean, in his past 4 or 5 fights, maybe not this past one, but before that, somebody's gone to the hospital, whether it was Dan, whether it was the other guy, or whether it was both of them. Somebody has gone to the hospital. And I think that just shows you, like, the level that he's at. He really brings some heat to the table. And he's a professional. He does everything the right way. He's on time for everything, which, is very important in some people's eyes. He's always on time. He's always going to give you his best effort. He rocks up and he shows out. And I think that's what makes him who he is.
We're only a few days out from the fight, like you mentioned. What happens from here on in? What work will you do with him?
What work will I do with him? I'll just keep him sharp on the pads. That's, you know what I mean? That's more my specialty there. So just make sure everything's tightened up, ready to go. We'll keep it light, keep him healthy, keep him excited, energetic. Doesn't have much weight to cut. So a couple slips, stuff like that,
Well, he looks happy and ready to go by judging what he's doing in the background there. But Frank, thank you so much for joining us on Playmakers, and all the very best for the week ahead.
Thank you. Kia ora.
Whānau, don't forget you can catch Dan Hooker in action right here on Sky Sport when he faces Islam Makhachev this Sunday at UFC 267 in Abu Dhabi. Watch it on Sky Arena. You can also book the fight on Sky Sport now. Hei kōna mai.